The company we have chosen is Volkswagen. We will be discussing about the history, then we will be going into the 4 different countries. So Volkswagen is a country which is founded by the German government in 1937. It's headquartered in Wolfsburg. The aim of the company was to produce low-price car that was known as the people's car. Production started expanding in 1950s onwards. During 1950 to 60 is where they opened their market in America, Africa and European countries. So from there onwards, they exported 1/3 of their production to 18 countries and mainly Europe. The big market for Volkswagen are US, China, India and Brazil. In China, they have started as a joint venture in 1984, and in India they invested close to 580 million since 2006 onwards. The Volkswagen group right now are, we can say, is Audi, Porsche, MAN. They have added a lot more into the group right now. So today, Volkswagen has operated in 122 production plants in 20 European countries and 11 countries in Africa, America and Asia.
The country I choose is China. Why? China has been the largest global vehicle market since 2009. As the largest market for Volkswagen, China accounted for 50% of the total global sales in 2019, an extremely important market, right? Meanwhile, China reduced the trade tariff on vehicles and auto parts and relaxed the FDI restriction on foreign ownership caps for electric automakers in 2018. These policies will greatly improve the business environment. Politically, China is a communist state dominated by the Communist Party. Although with the limits to individual political freedom, China's powerful government can maintain the stable policies for a long run. Legally, property laws were issued in 2007, and the property rights are respected more than before. In addition, before 2018, foreign car makers are required to set up a joint venture with a local firm. After relaxed FDI restriction in foreign equity, Volkswagen can set up the WFI to protect their intellectual property. For the economy, China is a mixed economy with a heavy government intervention. In terms of the economic system, after over 10 years rapid growth in GDP, China's economy is not optimistic in the near future. Trade tension and low liquidity due to the high house prices all influence the auto sales, one of the most important indicators for the auto investment. China's auto sales start to go down from 2018. But the good news is Volkswagen the sales keeps increasing in China. As for the regional economic integration, China and other 14 Asian Pacific nations agreed on RCEP to boost the regional free trade. Moving to the auto industry, China is pushing electric vehicles to replace fuel vehicles. This is a huge emerging and promising market. To conclude, although some risks in China's political and economic system, the largest auto market is still attractive. With the preferential policies and the promising market for electric autos, Volkswagen should strive to be the first mover in this area. As Volkswagen has invested EV plants in Shanghai recently, they should increase investment if the market becomes larger.
The second country we choose is USA. Why USA? First, USA is a premier market for Volkswagen because of its open investment policy, a large consumer market, a highly skilled workforce, and so on. The company provides a huge amount of jobs for Americans, and its economic activities contribute a lot to US GDP. And let's take a look at this picture. Volkswagen market share started to grow from 2018 after a 5-year decline. And in fact, in 2019, 62,500 vehicles were handed over to American customers in the first quarter, which was 8% higher than before. But what about its future? To answer this question, let's look at the external environment influencing the company. First, the political indicator. Last year, President Trump threatened to impose a 25% tariff on all the EU parts to protect American jobs. He said that free trade is a bad deal for the American workers and protectionism will reinvigorate the US economy. His threat has raised a lot of concerns about tense relationship between Europe and USA, and according to ISI, this could cause Volkswagen to lose $2.5 billion a year. Then when it comes to the legal indicator, the first thing comes to mind is the emission scandal in 2015 when Volkswagen was found using cheating devices to escape emission tests. This scandal led to a record of millions of vehicles, billions of dollars in fines, a decrease in sales, and a deterrent for its brand image. Now, moving on to the economic indicator, let's look at the current business trend. According to NBER, the Great Recession has come to an end and USA is now in an expansion phase. This expansion is slower than Europe with the average GDP growth of only 2%, which is a good thing, making the US economy stable and unemployment rate lower, which can then result in rise in income as companies must compete for candidates. In addition, consumer purchasing power of Americans is increasing as well as their demand for goods. So Volkswagen has an opportunity to expand their customer base from the upper class to the middle class. And we should not overlook the benefits of NAFTA. The North American auto sector has developed one of the most highly integrated supply chains, with 3/4 of US-made auto parts exports thanks to its NAFTA partners, allowing Volkswagen to boost productivity and gain global market share. So, based on the above analysis, I can safely say that Volkswagen should increase their FDI in USA. The question is when, where, and how. Given the fact that nearly all the automotive companies are putting emphasis on economic vehicles, Volkswagen had better increase the FDI ASAP on EV to accelerate its entry into this new market in USA in order to gain the first mover advantage. The good thing is, there's already a lot of buzz surrounding its highly anticipated ID Vision, ID Cross, and ID Buzz. We can see the picture here. Volkswagen should consider where or which state to invest, looking at the factors like the overall cost of doing business, the labor cost or labor availability. Considering Volkswagen's previous success in Tennessee, maybe lower Midwest and Southern America are better locations for new plants. Now, from AI to automated driving, automotive brands are in a race to maintain ahead of the others and therefore invest a lot in R&D or technology, which should also be Volkswagen's priority. In a word, technology is the future. How advantaged the technology is, how successful an auto company will be. Okay, so much for USA. Next, we're moving on to the country Brazil.
The next country we choose is Brazil. Why Brazil? Brazil is one of the largest countries in the world. It's the 7th largest economy with the 5th largest area and 5th largest population. It has abundant natural resources and a huge domestic market. But Brazil is not a rich country. The GDP and PPT and other economic factor is below the average. Actually, the country is suffering the corruption and political social problems for a long time. The gap between the poor and the rich is still wide. Let's look at the annual GDP growth rate in the last 30 years. Look at the curve go up and down. What do you think about that? It's kind of electrocardiogram. So this country is full plenty of risk and opportunity. Let's go to close look at Brazil on the FDI basis. Look at the political and legal factors. The government encourages FDI. The answer is yes. Attracting FDI is the core objective of the Brazil international policy. Brazilian government has been improving registration procedure designed to build a favorable environment for the foreign investment. Corruption is still a problem. The worldwide corruption scandal may be the biggest corruption scandal in the history. There are also two good news. One is the pension reform, which will be kickstart the economy and simplify the procedure for the foreign investment, who will be treated equally with the domestic investment in the listening sectors. Let's go to the economic factors. The economic freedom score is very low compared with the world average. GDP growth rate is only 1.2%, very low, but compared with last year, it's much increased. And unemployment is very high, but decreased compared to last year. Consumer shows confidence, And according to the automobile industry factor, the new car registration increased a lot. So after we analyze, the corruption and the social tension will last for a long time, and the fight against corruption is intensifying, which will benefit the investment for a long time. Plus, the economic factors show the recovering trend, political reform, and we will see the FDI in Brazil should increase.
So the country which I've chosen is Pakistan. Why Pakistan? Pakistan is one of the most populated countries in the world, and by 2020, Pakistan is planning to introduce 100,000 electronic vehicles, including car, vans, and small trucks, starting from 2020. This is an attempt to reduce the pollution in Pakistan. They have target set of 30% of sales of electronic vehicles by 2030 end. Only 1% GST for electronic vehicles and 1% duty on charging equipment. Volkswagen's one of the key focus for 2025 strategy is electronic vehicles. So because of this reason, Pakistan will be a good market for Volkswagen. Coming to the political and legal factors. Politically, Pakistan is a democratic country. Right now, Pakistan, we can say, is on a revamping phase with the new Prime Minister coming in. Parallelly, government is facing tension due to a year-long economic struggle. The legal aspect of the country is not so strong. The Protection of Property Act is weak. And we can say this is one of those countries after Brazil, which is having issues because of corruption. And the other factors which we can look at is the economy. Compared to 2018, the economic growth slowed down by 2.2 in 2019. Again, in 2019, there is an increased inflation rate to 7.3%. And again, there is in 2020, we can anticipate it's a projected decelerate of 2.4% in the GDP. But in 2021, they are expecting a gradual recovery for the GDP by 3%. Pakistan is having free trade agreement with Sri Lanka, China and Malaysia. China is one of the countries which is helping Pakistan. For Pakistan is also a part of the SAARC, South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation. And for the FDI, right now for Volkswagen, Pakistan is a future market. Right now, it won't be a good decision for Volkswagen to invest directly because of the economical, political and legal scenario over there. But yes, as we can see, there will be a gradual increase by 2021 or 2023. Then I think that will be a right time for Volkswagen for make an investment. Right now, even they have to make an investment, they can do it by a joint venture. Thank you.
In conclusion, Volkswagen should increase their FDI in China, USA, and Brazil, and pretty much what they have done already. And Pakistan may think negative now, but maybe in the long run they will have a bright future. After all, Volkswagen is no small fish in a pond, right? Although there are so many competitors, as long as they obey the laws or develop in accordance with the status in each company, Volkswagen will do a good job in the future. Okay, that's what we learned about the FDI and the company. Thank you for watching.